For sure Begu. Been loving what they've been doing because their brand is very simple, but they've been able to have a very versatile color range and like photography style. So I think that it's been really cool to see how they have such a simple brand that's been able to be used in so many different styles and ways. So I think that they've done a very good job understanding consistency, but also how to like innovate and keep things fresh. EQ3 furniture company from Winnipeg, they recently had like a brand refresh. They really stripped it back. They've done a really good job at being really like new and fresh and innovative without changing a whole lot about their brand. So it was really cool to kind of see that transformation from what they had before to what they have now, and how much more successful they've been able to be with just like a few simple changes. It is shed many tears creating. I'm not even kidding, it's hard. Usually you start with like the mood board. I'll make a mood board. I'm thinking of a vibe for a brand and I'm picking images that I think fit with that. There's usually like some sort of consistent color palette already within the mood board, and that'll kind of give me an idea. And then also take into consideration if the client has any ideas of colors that they feel would fit. And then you also take into consideration colors in the specific field or category that this brand is in. But I think the main thing is to understand your audience. What do they want to see, and also what will they be excited to see? So like what will fit into your brand's like niche or category, but also stand out in it. So like what'll work, but also like push the boundaries of that.
Who was your first crush?
Oh boy. Is that a question?
Literally someone asked that.
My first love was Helvetica. It really was. I always do this thing where I delete Instagram because I'm sick of it, and then I get it again like 2 days later. I have to log in and everything again. So the Green Book was a magazine actually called Brand Magazine. It's like a universal collection of graphic design, branding, communication, a curated magazine full of like the best examples of whatever that issue is talking about. The green one that I was in my photo was about how graphic design can like save lives. There's a lot of examples on ways that graphic design is used to communicate beyond language, so just with like illustrations or visually. An example would be like in airplanes you have like those cards that show what would happen if the plane was like gonna go into the ocean or something, like what you would do using pictures. So that's a way that graphic design is used to like save lives. So basically it's all about how different companies are being innovative with design in practical ways that are actually like help. I don't know, how do I explain this? I guess it's basically just about functional design that is used to like better the world. The Purple Book, I think, was also in there. It's one of my favorite books ever. It's called DesignHER, so it's like designers but with an H in it. DesignHER. And it's all about some of the best and leading female designers in the world right now. Super cool. It's by a company called Victionary with a V. This book is just about leading female designers. It's beautifully made, the paper, the cover, everything. I love it. There's interviews in it with different designers. Well, obviously Jessica Walsh, she's like a leading designer. She was like a pioneer, which is like crazy because she's pretty young still. She's probably like still in her 30s. But when she was like in her early 20s, she was like a co-founder of this studio called Segmeister and Walsh with Steven Segmeister. So now she's actually started her own company just called And Walsh. She's like just huge and she's so young and it's so inspiring. And also this designer from Germany named Lotte Neneinman. She's super cool. She is an illustrator and also a designer, and she keeps those things very separate, which is cool. And she also talks a lot about how she didn't want to be defined by her style. Like she wanted obviously to tailor each project to that project's needs instead of her own aesthetic, which I found very inspiring because I feel like lots of big designers have an aesthetic, which is cool, and that's what they get hired to do, but she talks about how you can go beyond that. I would say the first is consistency. So you want to be consistent visually, also with the way you communicate. I think that consistency throughout a long period of time, or however long your brand has been around, makes people remember you and also makes you seem professional. I would say simplicity. I feel like a lot of brands are overcomplicated. There's too much going on, and I think that's also a reason why they're often forgotten. You need to stand out, which is like obvious, but especially now in like the Pinterest age, I feel like there's a lot of brands that go for a branding route that just looks like a lot of other brands, and that's especially where your brand can get lost. So I think you need to stand out, be consistent, and also keep it simple. If there's just too many things going on, someone who looks at it at a glance, like someone who will look at your logo like as they're walking past on a billboard or scrolling through Instagram, if they can't see something that stands out right away, they're gonna forget it. If it's like a really complicated illustration plus like a bunch of words surrounding it and you can't read it or see what it is in like 2 or 3 seconds, it's probably gonna be forgotten. That's why like icon logos are really big right now, because phones and social media have become so big. We're so used to using emojis and symbols to symbolize things, and people's attention spans are way shorter. Icon logos have been so big because it needs to be recognizable just by looking at it, not even just by reading it. So if you're wanting to improve your brand, I would say go back to the beginning. Write down like the key things that you want your brand to convey, or what you want people to believe about your brand, or what you want them to understand from it. So usually this will be like a long list of things, and then you'll want to shorten it down to 3 or 4 keywords that you feel describe your brand. I think that's really important. It's like understanding it first, and then going into how you can represent that visually. And if not, if you just want to strengthen your brand itself the way that it is, I think that a good thing is also writing everything down, what you want your brand to represent, things that aren't working and things that are working, and then taking out the things that aren't working, obviously. Make sure that it isn't overcomplicated. So if there's anything that you're using in your brand that doesn't fit or isn't needed or doesn't like serve the brand with the keywords that you want to convey, like if it's not helping it in any way, I'd say get rid of it. Like really strip it back. I think that lots of brands, when they are wanting to refresh or just strengthen their brand, what they'll do is they'll just take out a lot of the stuff that isn't needed.